This movie about XRP Ripple is the most important one. The court ruling in Ripple versus SEC has been pushed back again, but don't worry, there's still a lot to figure out. Professionals are sure that this delay won't stop the price of XRP from reaching new heights. Predictions say that the XRP Ripple coin could go up to $37,500.00. That sounds crazy, right? But how is that even possible? Watch this video to find out everything. Let's do it one step at a time. Nota bene. The case in court between Ripple Labs and the SEC has taken a new, unexpected turn, one that could be the start of the end for a case that has shaped the current debate about how to regulate crypto. People in the digital asset space are talking about how Ripple and the SEC asked the Second Circuit Court of Appeals to stop the appeal process in a joint status report that was shared with them. This isn't just a holdup. It's a change in strategy that puts a lot of weight on Judge Analisa Torres's upcoming ruling. In particular, both sides are looking for what's called an indicative ruling. This is a way for the district court to show how it would rule on a motion if the case goes back to the lower court from the appeal. In this case, Ripple has made a motion that could drastically change the course of the lawsuit. The motion is likely about the remedies phase, which decides penalties and injunctions for institutional XRP sales. There's a lot of speculation in the crypto world about the joint request. Some people think it means that talks are going on behind the scenes and that the chances of a deal are growing. The XRP architect said on X that the SEC and Ripple had just made a joint status report asking for the appeals process to put on hold. They are waiting for the district court to rule on an important move. This could mean the end of their long court case over XRP. A win for making crypto clear? John Squire agreed and asked, "Are we about to see a major plot twist?" It looks like it. The fact that the SEC agreed to put off its own appeal, which is not something it normally does, shows that it understands that Judge Torres's possible decision could have a big impact on its case. This pause doesn't mean that both sides are giving up, but it does mean that they want to see more court decisions before putting more time and money into challenges. There have already been huge changes in how US courts and lawmakers handle digital assets because of this case. In July 2023, Judge Torres made a decision that set a new standard. The automated sales of XRP on exchanges were not securities deals, but the sales by institutions were. That split decision has been used as a model for future cases, which is a small but important win for the crypto business. XRP Avengers wrote, "Never forget." XRP is not a stock. People in the community have stuck to that statement, seeing the judge's ruling as proof that XRP is a digital currency and not an unregistered security. Still, the fight isn't over. The remedies part is very important because it will decide if Ripple has to pay fines or have its operations limited because of how it sold things in the past. If Judge Torres makes a favorable indicative decision, which means she might limit or throw out some of the SEC's requested penalties, the SEC might have to go back to the negotiating table. If the decision goes in favor of the SEC, on the other hand, the case could start up again with full force, with the appeal brought up again and a long courtroom fight that lasts until 2026. Not only are the details of the process very important at this point, but the bigger picture for the crypto market is also very important. A lot of people see the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit as a test of how far regulators can go to include digital assets in existing securities rules. If things go well for Ripple, it could give other crypto projects the power to fight back against enforcement steps and ask for changes to the way regulations work. If they lose, however, the SEC might feel free to go after similar cases with even more force, which would slow down innovation in the US market even more. The court is where everyone is looking right now. The next important date is August 15th, which is when the next joint status report is due. A lot will depend on what Judge Torres says between now and then. It doesn't matter if this ends in a deal or a more heated court case. The stakes could not be higher for Ripple or for the future of regulating cryptocurrencies in the US. Now, though, things really get interesting. Even though the court case is going on behind the scenes, people who believe in XRP aren't giving up. In fact, the most knowledgeable and experienced analysts are more optimistic than ever. They don't see this legal pause as a setback. Instead, they see it as the peace before the storm. And if what they say comes true, XRP's next move could shock the whole market. Don't miss out on Bitcoin again if you did. Edo Farina wrote, "XRP is the last chance." This tweet shows the urgency and conviction of more and more investors who think XRP is about to cause a huge financial awakening. They could be right. XRP could be getting ready for the biggest move in its history if the analysts and influential people who are making big statements are even half right. Steph, a famous chart watcher, pointed out that XRP's Bollinger Bands were getting smaller. This is an old-school technical indicator that usually means that price instability is about to explode. He joked that a huge move was loading. Others agreed with the attitude. As another well-known and respected person in the XRP community, A. Monix put it bluntly, "You are the only one who will win. People who can't wait are about to face the hardest test of their lives." But maybe the most controversial event started with a tweet by 25 Hours Awake. In it, they said that a Fox News reporter revealed that XRP would be bought back at $37,500 per token starting in just 48 hours. Even though there has been no official proof and a lot of people are calling it wild speculation, it made people even more excited than they were before. Jay Claver, managing director at Digital Ascension Group, made waves when he said that XRP could and should hit $10,000 per coin, not as a pump, but because it is needed. This added to the debate. His reasoning is based on how things work, not on fiction. He used an example from David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple. If the price of XRP stays at $1.00, it would take 1 million tokens to send $1 million. To move the same amount of money, you'll need a lot fewer tokens if the price of XRP goes up. At $10.00 per coin, you only need 100,000 XRP, and at $1,000.00, you only need 1,000 tokens. Claver said that the token should be very expensive so that it can support a lot of deals at the institutional level and also be used as a foundation for cross-border payments and global settlements. He said that XRP at $2.00 isn't enough. There isn't enough cash to support trillion-dollar flows. Based on his math, $10,000.00 per XRP would mean that the system could handle more than $585 trillion in notional liquidity, which is more than enough to keep the wheels of global banking turning. That's where things get crazy. Although Claver says that XRP is designed to reach these high prices, critics think this is a crazy plan. If XRP was worth $10,000.00, its market value would be more than $500 trillion, which is more than all the money and assets in the world put together. Some people, like Alex Carrico, who used to be the CEO of an Australian stock company, are not believing the story at all. Carrico said it was sad that people were being told that $10,000.00 XRP would be available tomorrow. He warned against what he saw as empty hype. Claver and other XRP maximalists still don't like the standard way of figuring out market cap. They say that a totally different valuation model is needed because XRP is used in utility-based transactions and not just for speculation. They say it's not about investors getting money, it's about the usefulness